yesterday, Sayadaw spoke about how if one observes as phenomena occur, one can see the individual characteristics of rupa and nama. One sees their individual characteristics as they happen, and one also comes to see how they arise and pass away. And because they are impermanent, because they arise and then pass away, they are oppressive, they are suffering, and how they lack an inherent self. So when we observe the individual characteristics of physical and mental phenomena, we come to see these common characteristics. And Sayadaw has mentioned this previously also, but now the end of the retreat is near, and he wants to talk about knowledge in a way that so that yogis may be able to compare what they've experienced with the knowledge gained in the practice, and they can see what they've gained through Sayadaw speaking about it. Earlier in the retreat, it's not appropriate to speak about knowledge that the yogis might not have gained yet. So all that it's appropriate to say earlier on is that we practice in order to know the true nature of physical and mental phenomena, and to see how they are related by cause and effect. Just this much is what Sayadaw has gone into detail earlier. But if one continues from that point to observe phenomena, one sees how they arise and then pass away. They have this, they are all alike in that they don't last. They have the characteristic of being impermanent. This is called anicca. This characteristic of impermanence is to be known. So this means that the Dhammas, mental and physical phenomena, which are impermanent, they are impermanent. They have the characteristic to arise and then pass away. So this is the characteristic of anicca, or impermanence. And today, Sayadaw will speak about how when the impermanent nature of phenomena becomes known, then their suffering, their quality of being oppressive and suffering becomes apparent, and how when the quality of them being suffering, dukkha, becomes apparent, one also comes to know their selfless quality. So in this way, Sayadaw will speak about how mental and physical phenomena have three characteristics, and he will describe three characteristics in common, and he will describe this in theory and practice, neither in brief nor in a very elaborate manner. The Buddha said that the physical and mental phenomena that occur in every being arise, and then they don't stay that way. The physicality and mentality that occurs due to kamma gradually becomes weak, and the physicality and mentality are occurring due to the mind, that also fades away. That which arises due to temperature, hot and cold, changes in various ways, the physicality and mentality. And also the physicality that occurs due to the nutriment that we receive also changes in many, many ways and falls apart. So, rupa and nama, physicality and mentality, which arise due to causes, do not stay that way. They dissolve. In other words, they die. And that which dies is frightening. It's not something that we can call good. So it's called dukkha. And this word dukkha refers to rupa and nama, mental and physical phenomena. Further, one may want one's body, mind to be a certain way, but it doesn't happen the way we want. And we don't want it to be a certain way, but it may happen that way. So the things which we experience don't happen according to our wish. We can't control them. They also have no inherent self. They simply behave according to their own true nature, like the weather. They're not something, just like the weather, they're not something that a supreme being can control. So that which is impermanent, or anicca, and dukkha, or suffering, is also anatta, selfless. It's like a person who goes by three names. So the person uses one name in one place, and another name in another place, another name in a third place. And so, say for example, the person goes to a place, and we see that person. We know that person under the name they use at that place. But it's the same person, so we come to know that person's other names that they use in other places, although we meet them in one place and know one name that person uses. Because it's the same person, we come to know their other names. So similarly with the mental and physical phenomena, they have the name of anicca. They are impermanent, the Buddha said. And the Buddha said that because they are frightening, because of their impermanent nature, they are also frightening. So they are dukkha. That's their second name. And their third name is anatta. They have no inherent self. There's no jiva atta, or soul in them. There's no parama atta, or supreme being controlling them. They're mere process, simply natural phenomena. So mental and physical phenomena has these three names. And when we observe at the moment of arising and know one of the names that this nama-rupa has, we come to know, if we know that this phenomena is impermanent, we also know automatically that this phenomena is suffering, dukkha, and also this amounts to knowing that it is lacking an inherent self, anatta. So the yogis should understand this. The Buddha himself gave three names to nama and rupa. He used the names of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. And he said, yad aniccaṃ tan dukkhāṃ. That which is impermanent, the mental and physical phenomena, which arise and then pass away, which are born and then die. Because of that, these rupa and nama phenomena are suffering, purely suffering. And further, yan dukkhāṃ tad anattaṃ. That impermanent, therefore suffering, oppressive mental and physical phenomena are without a self. They do not occur according to our wish or to theirs. They lack an inherent self. They are anatta. The yogis who are practicing know that among the physical and mental phenomena we experience, there's no permanent self that can be found. One can see this and understand clearly in one's practice. So if one sees clearly how phenomena are related by cause and effect, one will know for sure that there is no Supreme Being, no Paramatta, that is controlling one's experience. And seeing clearly mental and physical phenomena, how they are different, one sees clearly that there is no self or soul in there. There's just physicality and mentality. So this is very evident in the practice. So one understands that there is no permanent, happy and peaceful soul inside of us. One knows that because one knows the oppressive nature of phenomena, one sees that there is no happy, peaceful, subtle type of self inside. So thus, seeing how things are suffering, the Buddha said, yada niccang ten dukkhaṃ. One sees that the mental and physical phenomena arises, then passes away. It is born and then dies. It is anicca, and that which is anicca or impermanent is also suffering. And yan dukkhaṃ tad anattaṃ, that mental and physical phenomena which is born and then dies, therefore oppressive and suffering, has no inherent self. It is anatta. So the Buddha used these three words to refer to rupa and nama. As the physical and mental phenomena, each with their own characteristic, have three names of anicca, dukkha, and anatta, so too there are three names for their common characteristics. And the first name is anicca lakkhana. This means how mental and physical phenomena arise and then pass away. There's no such thing as a permanent mental or physical phenomena. Nothing stays the way it is when it arises. It arises and then does not stay that way. At the higher stages of insight, this is very evident, how phenomena continually pass away. Their behavior is just to arise and pass away continuously. And just as they have this characteristic of arising and passing away. The fact that they arise and pass away continuously, if we have to experience this again and again and again, it's oppressive. So they have this quality too of being oppressive. How can something be peaceful if it's continually oppressing us? So one becomes bored with mental and physical phenomena when one sees that they simply continually arise and then pass away. It's as though when at first we see a landscape or we see a view, we like seeing it, we enjoy seeing it. But if we have to see it again and again and again and again and again, then we say, is that all there is? We feel bored and fed up with seeing this phenomena that continually arises and passes away. But we can't avoid it because it is what we encounter all the time. So this quality of arising and then passing away, therefore being oppressive, this is the characteristic of dukkha lakkhana. And all mental and physical phenomena also are said to be awatha wutanakaro. They go according to their own nature. So they don't behave according to how we want, and they don't behave according to how they want either. They simply go according to their own process. So all mental and physical phenomena are like this through and through. They have these qualities permeating them, the qualities of being impermanent, suffering, and without an inherent self. All individual phenomena, all individual sabhava have these three characteristics. And therefore these three characteristics are what they have in common. In one place the Buddha said, Anecha sanyino, anatta sanya santati. That means that for one who sees the characteristic of anicca, for such a one, the perception of selflessness, of anatta, is automatically established. When one sees that, when one sees the impermanent nature of phenomena, one automatically comes to know that there is no atta, no self involved. This knowledge is automatically established. So just as one sees the impermanent characteristic of things and that understanding becomes firm, so too the knowledge that things are selfless becomes firm. And also that which is impermanent is suffering. That which is impermanent and suffering is also selfless. The mental and physical phenomena, which each have their own individual characteristic, they are anicca, they are dukkha, and they are also anatta. So they are dhammas, they are phenomena, which have three names. So individually, they have their own true nature. Impermanence, suffering, and selflessness are what they have in common. When one sees anicca, that something arises and passes away, then dukkha and anatta are also seen. So the Buddha said, to express this, Tisu lakanesu ekasamen dete ituradvayang detamewa hoti. That means, if one sees through one's practice any one of the three characteristics, then the other two are automatically known. So if one sees clearly the impermanent nature of phenomena, anicca, dukkha and anatta are automatically seen. If one sees clearly the suffering nature, dukkha, the dukkha lakkhana, then automatically one will see that these are anicca and anatta. These other two characteristics will be seen. And if what one sees clearly is that these mental and physical phenomena are mere process without any inherent self, anatta, seeing that clearly, at that moment, their impermanence and suffering nature, anicca lakkhana and dukkha lakkhana, will also be seen. So this is what the Buddha pointed out, that seeing one, when one sees one of the three common characteristics, the other two are automatically seen and known. because of our observation, when we see that mental and physical phenomena arise and then pass away, when we see their behavior of being impermanent, when we see their impermanence, then the remaining two characteristics which they have in common, dukkha and anatta, are automatically seen. People, in fact all beings, have many, many lifetimes. And when we get a new life, then one will get old. Day by day, we age. Even hour by hour, minute by minute, we are aging. And sometimes disease arises, especially in these times. There's a full variety of diseases that are prevalent. And in the end we die. So, as long as we're alive, as long as we have a life, then we can't avoid aging, sickness, and death. Everyone who is practicing here will die one day. Will either die having gained the Dhamma, or will die as common worldlings, patujanas, without gaining the Dhamma. Or also Arya, noble people die, and also the Buddha himself, in the end, he died. So we can't avoid these conditions of aging, of sickness and death. Although this is true, most people in the world have no sense of urgency, no sense of spiritual urgency or samvega. There was a monk in the times of old named Venerable Ratapala. And when he was young, he left worldly pleasures behind and became a monk. And a king came to him and asked, "Why have you ordained? At your age, sense pleasures are good. So why don't you enjoy them? You can become a monk later." And how the Venerable Ratapala replied is a good example for us. And these are called the four Dhammodesas. He replied with 4 points, and these are things that point out the need for us to practice. They point to the practice of the Dhamma. The Dhamma is that which uplifts the practitioner. The Dhamma, the three trainings of Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. So the Venerable Ratapala understood that we must practice these. So his reply is something which we should take to heart. The first reply that Venerable Ratapala made to the king was Upaniyati Loko Aduwo. That means that our nama and rupa, our being, gets old, it gets sick, and it dies. There's no firm guarantee that we will not get old, sick, and die. So this mental and physical phenomena that we call our being, which lacks a guarantee, is being driven to old age, sickness, and death, just the way a cow is herded to pasture. So it's good if we can extract the value from our mental and physical phenomena. If we can extract the value from our existence, then it's good. So the second reply was Atano Loko Anabesaro. So there's no guarantee that we will not age, get sick, or die. there's no one who can protect us from this. Even the Buddha passed away. There was no one who could protect the Buddha from aging, sickness, and death. So in the Pali, anabesaro means there's no guarantee regarding aging, sickness, and death. No guarantee we won't experience these. And for that reason, all beings are atano. They have no one to protect us. And the whole world is like this. No being in the world has someone to protect them. And then the Venerable Ratapala said, Asako loko sabang pahaya gamaniyang. So this means that Asako refers to our own being, our education that we've gained, the work that we've done, the wealth that we've accumulated, the possessions. So we have no guarantee regarding old age, sickness, and death. And all that we've accumulated also, we have to give it up when we die. So that's why it said, Sabang Pahaya Gamaniyang. When we leave this life, there's no possession that we take with us. There's no, the body doesn't come with us, and no possession. We have to leave it all behind. Although while we are alive, it seems as though we own these things. So we have them temporarily in our possession. But if we practice, we can get the Dhamma. So our body, when it ages, it gets sick and finally dies, it basically winds up in the trash heap. But just like we can go to the trash heap while we're alive, we can go to the trash heap and pick out valuable things from the trash. So too, we can extract value from our life while we are alive. This is like extracting gold from the trash heap. So before we die, if we understand the method of practice, if we understand that there are the three trainings of Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, and if we develop knowledge so that we can gain true peace, a type of happiness that never becomes old, that never becomes unsatisfying. Understanding this, we need to practice satipatthana to gain this type of happiness. The Buddha guaranteed that we can gain a type of happiness that will never become old, never become unsatisfying. And yogis now are practicing this method of extracting gold from the trash. They are applying the trainings of Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. If we are able to develop knowledge, we will gain a happiness which never loses. It never stops being satisfying. It never ceases giving us joy. The Buddha guaranteed that we can gain this happiness. If people in the world will just sort of look at themselves and reflect on how their minds are. Because we are beings that live in a realm of the senses, our minds are mostly with sense pleasures, normally. And the sense pleasures that we like bind us. So we like a sight or a sound, smell, taste, touch. And because of that liking, we get bound to them. But these things become boring when we have to experience the same old, when we have to see the same old thing, the same old person again and again. We get tired, or hearing the sweet sound. Although initially we like it, if we have to hear it again and again, it gets boring. The smells that we found pleasurable, we get bored with them. We get weary of them. And the tastes, touch, also both ordinary touching and touch between male and female. These things which we initially like come to bore us. So these sense pleasures can never satisfy us. There's no satisfaction to be gained with regard to them. So no matter how much we have, it's never enough. And that is what the Venerable Retapala spoke about in his fourth reply to the king. He said, Uno loco ateto tanadaso. Uno means that no matter how much we put in, no matter how much experience we allow ourselves, it's never enough. Uno. And what it's like is scooping up water with a sieve when we try to get enjoyment out of sense pleasures. We may get a little bit of water with a sieve, but not much. And so it's never enough. And when greed arises, craving, this craving of tanha, because of that, we are pushed to get more and more things that we like. Our craving is like our master. Tanha is like something that bosses us around to get pleasurable sights, pleasurable sounds, smells, tastes, and touches. We are basically slaves of craving. So most beings in the world are like this. And thus the Venerable Retapala replied to King Kodabhya that he replied in 4 points as to why he had spiritual urgency, why he became a monk. So these 4 things, 4 replies, they all point to the Dhamma, and we should pay attention to them. Those who pay attention to these replies that the Venerable Retapala gave will practice the Dhamma respectfully, with continuity and without taking breaks, so as to get something valuable from this life that we have. If we aren't satisfied yet with our practice, we can apply ourselves to gain happiness. We can apply the practice with respect and care. We can continue to work. The practice brings results. But if one only works superficially, without respect for the practice, without working to gain continuity, without being steadfast in one's practice, then there's no guarantee that one can gain happiness. And if one wants to practice according to one's own method, or according to another method other than what is taught here, there is no need to come to this center. This method that is taught here is according to the instructions of the Buddha, as taught by the Most Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw. And those who have practiced according to this method have gained satisfaction. Sometimes yogis who return home, when they leave the retreat, they say, "Only now do I know how to eat. Only now do I know how to drink. Only now do I have a home." And they say the best export that Burma has is the practice of satipatthana. So Sayadaw has given this discourse about the 4 points, the 4 replies of Venerable Retapala to the king, as a way of encouraging the yogis to continue their practice until they are satisfied, to apply themselves with cherishing the practice, continuity, and so on. That's all for today. Sadhu, 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 sadhu.